everyone. This is our second episode. I'm Sharon Estrada. I'm a senior at Boss.
And I'm Bridget Sells, and I'm also a senior at Boss, and this is our podcast for our signature project about dissociative identity disorder. Just to recap last week's episode, we just kind of introduced ourselves a little bit more in depth and talked about what the signature project actually was and why we're doing this podcast. And we introduced our project topic, which, like I said, is dissociative identity disorder, more specifically raising awareness about it and spreading information about it to the public. And yeah.
So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about terminology, and these are very important so you know exactly what we're talking about. It can get very confusing if you don't know exactly what we're talking about, so we're informing you.
Okay, so yes, the first word that I'm going to be talking about today is dissociation. So dissociation is defined, the textbook definition of dissociation is a disconnect between a person's thoughts, memories, feelings, actions, or emotions, or just the general sense of who they are. And then more related to dissociative identity disorder, someone might dissociate, or you would use the word dissociate when they are switching alters or when a different alter is fronting.
Okay, and then the word I'll be discussing is host. The host is the personality that is most outside, the one that interacts more with the outside world. I guess more people are more familiar with this one.
The next word that I will be going over with you guys is an alter. And another word for alter is personality state. Different systems have different preferences of which word they prefer, but the more common word is alter, so that's the word I'm going to be using when talking about it. And the alters are just the different personalities in a host system, so they each will have kind of their own role within the system generally, and then specific to each person, they'll have their own tasks and responsibilities that they do throughout the day or week.
My word is system. It's the collective of all the alters, all the personalities, and they have their own way of living inside. Each of the alters inside the system have their own way of looking that they feel is what represents them. Like some will be men, some will be girls, some will be children, and yeah.
Okay, so the next word is fronting, and I've mentioned a couple times already, and that is just the word for whichever alter is in control at that time. So if the host is in control, then they are fronting. If a protector is in control, they are fronting, and just whichever alter is the one that is kind of in the driver's seat, who's the one that's talking, controlling the person's actions, doing what they need to be doing, they are the alter that is fronting.
Okay, my next word is dissociative amnesia. It used to actually be called psychogenic amnesia, but it has been changed. What this is basically as someone changes, as an alter like starts fronting, the previous one actually forgets what was going on or they didn't know. All the memories will stay with the other one, and so as soon as they get into the body, they can be very like confused on what's going on, like how did I get here and stuff like that. It's just forgetting what goes on. It happens as you're switching or after you switch and stuff like that.
And then the last word that I will be going over in today's podcast episode is integration, and that is basically what it sounds like. It is when one or more alters integrate in that they kind of combine, and then this will usually happen maybe if the host has been able to kind of deal with the trauma. So if there are two alters that came from a specific traumatic event in their lives, if they've kind of worked through it and kind of not necessarily accepted what happened, but they've just sort of learned how to kind of deal with that on their own, those alters might integrate, or they might integrate with a completely different alter and just kind of disappear altogether. And kind of going along those lines, all the alters can integrate back into the host so that the host only has one personality themselves again. And then again, that just happens sometimes over time. Sometimes it doesn't happen over time. And the host can still work through their traumas and know how to deal with them, but still have the alters. The alters could just never integrate. But that is what that word means.
Yeah, those are going to be the words that we teach you today. So this is going to be the end of the podcast episode. Thank you so much for watching.